Any fool can buy high and sell low. The wise man knows it's all in the timing. Guys, we see stocks are up for the day. Bonds, gold, and Bitcoin are down. Let's jump into these charts. First thing I'll point out, let's start unusually. We'll start with Bitcoin. What do we see happening with the weekly chart? We see weakness in the weekly chart after many weeks of us having a weekly vertical crossover moving up. We had 3 weeks where it trended down and then it started back up again, most recently heading up. We have a red spinning top that is forming. Price percent oscillator less than flat. Derivative oscillator losing momentum. Check out the 2-day. As we thought might occur, we have a 2-day crossover going down. That pulls us out of our Bitcoin trade at this point. What would happen to get us back into it? The 2-day would cross back over going up. The thing about being able to read a stock chart and knowing when to get out is you don't have to absorb the full loss. Then what do you do when things bottom out and start to turn up again? You can jump back in and ride that wave up to more profitability. Now, let's again pay attention to that. That is extremely important as you're learning to chart Bitcoin. Look at the half day. You can see that the half day is continuing to trundle down. The derivative oscillator gaining downward momentum. Price percent oscillator heading down. And of course, down movement throughout the course of the day in Bitcoin after a prior day of some up movement and 2 prior days of down movement. That is what we see. That is where we are. Let's pay close attention to that. Now, let's move from Bitcoin on into the S&P 500, up for the day 0.40%. We have a green up candle, the high so far this week 470.48, last week 470.65, so 470.23. It was that prior week that was 470.65. So this week, not hitting the highs yet that we saw 2 weeks ago. Again, candle also smaller. Price percent oscillator still heading up. Derivative oscillator gaining some upward momentum. Small green candle still above the weekly trend line, but some slowing. Look at the 2-day. You can see where we penetrated the 2-day trend line and then things have tried to move back up to it. That's good to see, but again, still not hitting that prior high. This candle has finished drawing, so it is a real candle. Price percent oscillators heading up. Derivative oscillator still devolving. Half-day chart. You can see where that slump occurred. Trying to recover, just pushing up through that at the end of the day. Still well above the weekly, so we'll continue to watch and see, pay close attention to what's going on with the 2-day and the weekly. So again, still moving up after that weekly vertical crossover 2 weeks and 2 days ago. What about the Qs? Crossed over at the same time, up for the day 0.71%. Again, about the same, not hitting higher highs yet. Price percent oscillator heading up, derivative oscillator heading up. 2-day chart shows where that weakness was over the prior 4 days, still trying to move up, but not hitting the highs we've recently seen. Although the price percent oscillator is heading up, derivative oscillator devolving. Remember, price percent oscillator is our lagging indicator, derivative oscillator leading indicator. Lagging versus leading. How about the half day? Same kind of slump, trying to move back up, still not pierced or gone above that prior 2-day trend line. Price percent oscillator still negative. Derivative oscillator almost turning positive. See what the market has in hold for the Qs tomorrow on Wednesday. Let's look at TLT 20-year bonds down for the day 0.25%. Let's start with the weekly. Big down candle that has been drawing. Again, down again today after lots of down movement yesterday. That price percent oscillator, look how that's just laminated as it has devolved. You almost can't see that there was a crossover this last week. A weak one that we warned about, didn't feel good about. Price percent oscillator is trying to pull away from the red signal line. Derivative oscillator's never gone green. It is still red down candle. We'll continue to watch and see where that goes. What do we see with the 2-day chart? Of course, well pierced as far as the 2-day trend line goes. Hasn't crossed over yet, but heading down, derivative oscillator devolving. And we look at this half-day chart and we can just see solid down movement. The morning, a little bit of slowdown in the down movement, but then that headed on in the afternoon, that price percent oscillator spiking down. Derivative oscillator about flat for 1.5 days. So we'll keep an eye on 20-year bonds. Might have a crossover going down at the end of the week, and would be happy, again, if that's strong and shows that that's the way it's going to go, might be happy to jump into that. And short bonds, TBF, Tango Bravo Foxtrot, is the single short of TLT, something that you might have a chance to practice trade. What about gold, our last chart for the day? Down 0.72% so far this week, not reaching a higher high yet. It is a green up candle, but a smaller one. Price percent oscillator losing a little bit of energy. Derivative oscillator still oscillating upward. 2-day chart, we can see where we have a red open box candle. Again, what that means to us is a slowdown in the up movement. Also, the price percent oscillator losing a little bit of its angle, and the derivative oscillator losing speed as far as up movement goes on that 2-day chart. What about the half day? We can see where things have rounded over and moved down. Again, still well above the weekly and the 2-day, but we're paying close attention on that gold trade after that weekly vertical crossover that we recently had. That's where we are, folks. Again, takeaway from today, Bitcoin has moved over on that 2-day chart, pulling us out of any Bitcoin practice trades right now, waiting to see what happens, if that's going to be a strong enough down movement that'll rotate the weekly over also. We don't know, but we'll pay close attention. But for now, with that 2-day crossover, that pulls us out of our Bitcoin trades. Hope that you're practice trading Bitcoin. If you're interested in learning about it and how it works, you can use that same knowledge on other cryptocurrencies. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.